Welcome all to the Paladin University. Whether you're online today or in the future watching this as a recording, I thank you for your attendance. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Charles Owen. I'll be your host for today's webinar, and this webinar topic is going to be on year-end reporting. What are some of the important things that you need to do at year-end? So there's nothing really that's required in the software, but there are a number of different things that you may require based on information that you need to provide your accountant and other things that you need to do to be remain compliant. The time frame of this webinar, I'm guessing, is going to be between 10 and 15 minutes. Any questions will be addressed at the end. Let's go ahead and get started. So what you're going to learn today is, why year-end reports are so important. We're going to talk about that in detail and what some of those reports are, and what you need to do to prepare for year-end reporting. This is not a just do it at the year-end. This is a year-long process. So we're going to teach you how to prepare for next end of year, beginning in January, but also what you're going to do at this end of year. And then also we're going to talk about performing a computer audit, what that entails, what best practices to follow on a regular basis, how to set up, test, and automate preset reports. Preset reporting is a big component of this. And then 4 reports that should be at the top of your list. So why is year-end reports, why are they so important? Well, it captures important information. So you need to have information that you provide to your accountant and others. And some of these reports that you generate from Paladin are considered snapshot in time reports. That means that you can only get them at the time that you run the report for that particular time frame and time period. Also, it provides vital information for your general ledger, tax information for your accountants, as well as it helps you measure year-over-year growth and profitability. That's part of your process of running your store and managing your store is how are you going, how are you growing? And then setting the stage for next year. How do you prepare early in January for a December closeout? It also stimulates planning and goal setting. So what are some of the things you need to do to prepare to run the reports? Well, you want to set your year-end reports to run automatically. So using the presets. We'll go in great detail about this. I'll walk you through the process of setting up some of those reports so that they just run automatically. You can have them run daily, weekly, monthly. And then also what the process is for performing regular cycle counting. That is it's an extremely important component of maintaining your inventory control. But we don't believe in doing a year-end where you just invite all your neighbors and friends and family and bring in a couple of cases of Coca-Cola and the pizzas. It's done on a daily basis, and that really helps eliminate that rush at the end of the year. So if you just did a little bit every day, count a 2-foot or 4-foot section, 15 minutes or so, that's all you need to do. And then over a year's time, you may have counted your entire store a couple of times. It's really important to do that if you want to do proper inventory control, and you also need to account for shrink as well. And that's what it'll help you do. You need to also sell off as many non-performing assets as possible. So we give you the tools to be able to build cascading pricing plans. What that lets you do is just identify items that you want to get rid of and classify them in a particular class or department and have them automatically fall off of your inventory, meaning you want to sell those off. So the cascading pricing plan may start at, hey, I'm doing 20% off on these items. A month later, you might say, okay, now we're doing 50% off of these items. Now we're getting to the point where, before we send them off to Habitat for Humanity or turn them in for a loss, you want to maybe discount them up to 75%. All of this can be automated where you never have to touch it. It just happens at checkout automatically. So there's a webinar called Tips and Tricks, Cascading Sales Can Brighten Your Holidays. So do check that out. Increasing collections for your accounts receivables. you'll want to definitely put a rush on to get as much money in the door as you can. It's an excellent time to communicate with your customers and say, hey, look, just like you, we're trying to get everything in that we can before the end of the year. And then ask your accountants what they might need above and beyond what you think they need. And then you can determine your store's growth metrics for success and measure your successes year over year. These are some of the ways that we prepare for year end. The next thing that might be critical to do is perform a network audit. So network audit means not just check out your network, but really it's a technology audit, beginning with replacing those outdated computer terminals. If you are suffering from slow performance, give us a call. We can get you hooked up with a new computer system. And you don't necessarily have to replace everything all in one fall swoop. You might want to do this over time to reduce the impact on your cash flow. So every 3 months, do just a quick internal audit to say, hey, what computers are older than 3 years? And just start replacing those every 6 months or so. Evaluate replacing some of your peripherals as well. Every piece of equipment has a half-life. Every piece of equipment will eventually fail. So it's good to know if you have older printers. Some of you I know have printers that are greater than 10 years old, maybe even older, because they're just little workhorses. They'll just keep going. But one day they will fail. So it's always good to get a jump on that. Conduct a network assessment. Very important. So either have Paladin or you can hire another network team to come in and do a store assessment on your network. Make sure it's a safe and secure environment. Make sure you're following all the PCI DSS compliant requirements. And then clean and sanitize your equipment. I can't tell you how many stores I've been in where I walk in, I look under the counter at the computer and there's 2 inches of dust on the back fan, and there's mouse droppings and other things. I mean, I've seen it all. It's important to keep the area clean, sanitized. Make sure that the cabling isn't all tangled up and all spaghettied out in the behind the terminals. You may have somebody go in there and put little wire wraps on things. You sell them in your store, just grab them for store use and start cleaning up the areas. It will make you feel better and your equipment will like it as well. What are some of the best practices for year end? So I can tell you, I've already touched on it, but cycle counting and reviewing your inventory is extremely important. I did a webinar not too long ago, maybe a month or two ago, on what it is to review your inventory, what's involved. When I say cycle counting, that means reviewing your inventory. And reviewing your inventory is more than just cycle counting. Cycle counting is a byproduct of reviewing your inventory, but you want to make sure that your inventory is, the right products on the right peg, on the right shelf. It's got the right price. There's not other products on there. It's clean, dusted, presentable, well lit, and is appealing to consumers. That's what reviewing your inventory is all about. But cycle counting is extremely important. And you can do that, as I mentioned, every day. Just pick a small section, count it. Have your cashier go and do a count from where they stopped or left off yesterday. And then set up the monthly preset reports. That's our next slide. It's going to go into how do we set up preset reports? What are preset reports? Well, these are reports that you can have run automatically and stored on your file system for recalling at any time. And then also, you want to review your department margins, your gross margin return on investment, and correct any anomalies. These are reports that you should be getting on a daily basis, like your comparative revenue report, your master report, your inventory summary report. There's multiple reports that have this information and are able to alert you to a problem. If you have a problem where you've, for whatever reason, the price went in the system on an item that was $1 million, and it's normally, $1.99. How did that happen? Well, somebody made a mistake. Just, it happens. Maybe they scanned the wrong item in the wrong place. Normally, there are things in the system to prevent you from doing that, but occasionally, it can happen. So if it does happen, make sure to contact Paladin. We have ways to reverse invoices that were mistakenly done. we can reverse it and get your gross margin return on investment and your margins back in line. Archive and clean up backup files. I can't tell you how many calls we get a year where they say, hey, our computer's down. It said that there's no more hard disk left. Well, Paladin has implemented our own cleanup for backup files, but there may be other files, other backup files in the system that you need to clean up. Feel free to do that. What we recommend is save at least all of the last 12 months end of month backups. That way you can always restore one of the backups. For example, if you needed to run a snapshot in time report on data from 2 months ago, you have the data. You can restore that data and run those reports. We will definitely help you with that process. Also, free up disk space while you're at it. Remove some of the old backup files, remove the temp files. If you have any questions about what's removable and what isn't, give us a call. Support can help you. We have a couple of tools that we can run that just go and clean up your data. We also have Swifter, which is a service that we provide, which also reduces your size of your database for Paladin to speed things up for performance issues and disk space. Definitely talk to us about that. Keep the operating system updated. We do offer services for network support and operating system update support and backup support for using DataWise and doing a cloud backup. But if you're managing your operating system and we're not doing that for you, make sure that it's updated. You want to keep current on the operating systems. Paladin is a gold certified partner with Microsoft, and we run best on the latest update of software. Continue learning and educating yourself about new features in Paladin. It's extremely important. We put out new features on the browser that you see when you first start Paladin. There's a features browser comes up. Important things we'll alert you about. And we also, when we do major releases, we put in information about the new releases. If you have any questions, go to the knowledge base, go to the help portal on Paladin, which can be acquired through the Paladin application by clicking on the help button, or you can go to portal.paladinpos.com, and in the help portal you can search for what are new releases, and you'll see that information. It's important. I can't tell you how many calls I get from people that say, I wish you had this feature or that feature, and then I shake my head going, wow, we put that in the system 5 years ago or 2 years ago or 3 months ago. You definitely need to keep in tune. We are constantly updating the Paladin software, and it's important to stay abreast of what the new features are. Moving on to how to set up, test, and automate preset reports. So this is something that you're probably already doing, but if not, I give you the recipe on how to do this, right? Go to the reports module, select the report that you want, click on the create preset report F11 button, go into the report settings, give it a report preset number, and then also a button name. So the button will be named whatever you title it, and then you schedule it, and that's it. Next, click on the report settings pane of the report you're going into and give it the criteria that you want it to do every time. Now, most of the fields that are date fields will go with the same day, unless you pick a report that prints tomorrow's or yesterday's information, then it will produce a search between those specific dates. And that's it. Make sure you save your preset, and then you're ready to go. If you press on the preset button at any time, it'll produce a report right then and there without you having to put in and fill in any of the criteria. However, if you set it up for a time where it prints or creates a report daily or weekly or monthly, it will be in your stored preset reports file. All right, so as we get towards the end of the presentation, we have 4 reports. I've got 5 on the list here. I added one at the very last minute. So normally I ask you to run an inventory valuation summary report at the end of the year. Extremely important because that is truly a snapshot in time. You cannot get that time back unless you restore data from before. So it's an important report to produce. You can create a preset report to run that monthly. Same with the accounting summary report, snapshot in time as to who owes you money and how much money do they owe you. When was the last time they paid? How have they been late? All that information is on the accounting summary report. So that should also be a preset. These two reports should be the first presets on your system because we set these up for you when we set you live. If you're on a system and you've been on the system for years and years and you haven't yet set up a preset report for inventory valuation summary and accounting summary, it's time to do it now. Also, the period comparative revenue report, which all the managers and owners are probably running this multiple times daily. You can also see this information on your phone with the mobile app, so you can see how your store is performing at any given time. This is a report that you can run anytime for any specific period of time, so you don't have to be forced to set it, create it as a preset and save it, because you can go back and change the date to, oh, I want to run the comparative revenue report for last Friday or a year ago. You can do that with the comparative revenue report. Inventory count list, just one of my all-time favorite reports. It gives you a lot of basic information that you can zero in on your margins, look for upside down margins, look for your top 10, top 100 movers. You can look at what hasn't moved in the last 6 weeks or year and what you have on hand. These are all the very important aspects of the inventory count list. Its initial purpose is to create a report that you can take out and count. So you can actually put in the new count for items. It will give you that in location, order, and allow you to go ahead and fill in an amount, and then you go back to the computer and you can fill that in. Most of that's done with the RF terminal, but if you don't have an RF terminal or RF gun, you can use this inventory count list for that purpose as well. The last one I added was master report. That is also a snapshot in time, and it gives you all kinds of information to see your sales. So it'll allow you to see your weekly, monthly, daily sales information. Okay, getting to the end of the presentation here. I hope that was helpful for you. There's a few other resources that you can find on the help portal. Some of these are webinars. Most of these are webinars, actually. How to prepare end of year reports. This is last year's same presentation that I'm doing here. I've modified it slightly, but this presentation will also be loaded and stored on the web portal as well. And then the most effective reports to manage your business. We've got that, and I believe that is a knowledge-based article. The cascading sales can brighten your holidays, as I referenced before. And then custom reports. If you want to do custom reports, we have you hooked up in Excel. You can access the ODBC or Open Database Connectivity connector and be able to be exposed to all the tables and all the columns in Paladin, and we can help you build that as well. There's a knowledge-based article as well to support this webinar. And then Paladin Insight helps clean up your inventory with Lost Opportunity Tool. You can also look at your reviewing your inventory. That's on there as well. That's the one I did a few weeks ago. And then I added one here for spring cleaning. So what you might want to prepare for when spring comes. Well, we are at the end of the presentation today. I will take any questions. I don't see any at this point. We did have quite a long list of people that joined today. Thank you so much for your attendance. Again, I appreciate the fact that you are curious and you want to know more about how to improve your operations and use the Paladin tool in order to accomplish that goal. There's other places where you can go for information. We have Retail Science, which if you go to our main Paladin point of sale website and click on webinars, Retail Science is there, as well as the help portal and our store as well. I don't see any more questions. So listen, folks, again, thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful day. God bless. And until next time, take care.